Hello YouTube, this is Marauders here. So this is a video about taking apart the Nacon Revolution Unlimited Pro. But remember, a warning before you start watching the video: if you follow my instructions and you destroy or damage your controller, please don't hold me responsible. I'm just making the video for educational purposes only. Okay, so it's up to you to take responsibility and be careful when opening up your own controller. Okay, cool. Please enjoy the video. Hello YouTube, this is Marauders here, and today I'm gonna show how to take apart the Nacon Revolution Unlimited controller so that you can clean out the buttons, because it seems like my buttons were actually getting stuck, so it seems like some dirt got into it, so I had to open up the controller so that I can clean up the dirt underneath these buttons, and now they don't feel stuck anymore. And since I've already figured out how to do it, I might as well just make a video. So first off, there are these 4 rubber plugs here. So what you do is you just get something small and you pick them out. So these are hiding screw holes. You might want to just keep track of which are which, because they are long and short ones. So the long ones go here and the short ones go here. Then of course remove the weighted chambers. So we have a total of 6 screws. There are 6 similar screws in length, so they are all the same for these 6. Okay, so now that you've removed the screws, there's a few things to be aware of. First of all, this this mode selector switch. Now what's going to happen is that this mode selector switch actually comes off vertically, and when we are trying to remove the case, it might actually pop it off. So we're gonna just use a small screwdriver that we were using just now, and just winch it off from the bottom carefully. You don't want to break the plastic that allows the switch to work, so just gently winch it off. Now we remove all the screws. There are 2 plastic catches here, very big, very thick, so they hold on to the bottom half pretty tightly. So when we get to them, it's gonna be a quite heavy resistance. I'm gonna try to use a spreader. Okay, 1. So I got this one open. Let's get the other one. Now be a bit careful about the side buttons. They actually have no connection here. These buttons don't have any wires behind them, but they are pressing against a circuit board, which you'll see afterwards. So now just gently separate it up and then use a spreader in and hit towards the catch. Yeah, the second one was definitely a bit harder to open. Let's see. about? And the first side close back in again. Okay, so got that one open again, got that one open. Just wedge this thing in here. Okay, so once you pop the two stops at the bottom, the back plate comes off. The back plate will just come off, and this sliding selector switch might also come off a bit, so you have to be careful. Now this USB-C cover here, this is basically just held in place like this, and there are some suspended pegs where it just slides into, you can see these posts which are just, they're not a full-length post, so they are supposed to just go in and slide into the, when you reassemble it later, it just needs to gently go in and drop in. So that's later when we're trying to reassemble it. So the battery isn't actually screwed into anything. It's just resting on a tray, and here are the extra buttons. So we'll just gently remove them. We don't want to break any of the wires, and then we gently pull up the rumble motors as well. So just loosen it. So there are two more screws here, two silver ones here, one and two. So let's remove them. Okay, now for all intents and purposes, now the circuit board is technically free, but I want to direct your attention to these two places here. So this strip here and this strip at the side here. So these two places, they are actually pins going down to a connector on the board below. So what we want to do is we want to push this board vertically up, straight up, so that we don't accidentally bend any of the pins at the bottom. What I found is the best way to do this is just gently, equally push up on the thumbsticks. So we equally, gently push on the thumbsticks. Oh my god. Okay. So you push up on the thumbsticks. Okay. So it came loose now, and then you can just gently flip it over. So you can see that at the what I mentioned, it was just two pin connectors. So you want to push, when you're pushing this board out, you want to just vertically lift it up gently so that you don't accidentally bend any of the pins connecting to the buttons. Now that we plopped this down, what will have happened is that your triggers, these side triggers, would have fell out. So just take note of them, because when we reassemble this, we have to put these back in before we put the circuit board for the main thing in. Okay, so now all we have to do is just unscrew this piece so that we can reach our face buttons. So this is actually, I would say, is a pretty clean controller to disassemble. That's nice and clean. Okay, so you take out the circuit board for the controller, run the face buttons. Now remember to be very careful when you're dealing with this, because you don't want to accidentally rip this ribbon cable. This will be for the touchpad. So we just want to be very careful and gentle with it. Carefully remove out the face buttons. Then you can clean them and do whatever you need to do. Just give them a wipe around the edges so that there's no more dust and grime. Maybe get a Q-tip and wipe out the face button channels, and then put them back in. So they are keyed. You can't exactly put them in the wrong way. Just you notice that there's a shape. There's a tab with a shape. So that would tell you that that side is up. So this is triangle, this is circle. So you can't really put it in the wrong way, because these things are just keyed in so that they can only go in a specific manner. And you can see that there's a little indentation with the shape that says which button it is. So yeah, it's really hard for you to get it wrong. So don't worry about it. Just drop it in, and if it fits, it'll go in. Okay, so we just put it back in. Now that we clean it up, we put it back in, and we are going to start reassembling the thing. So first we'll screw back in the face buttons. Okay, face buttons are secured. Put the bumper buttons back where they should be. So just remember, there's a peg, there's a little hole there. Just drop it into the hole. Make sure it balances out. What these things do is that they'll press onto these switches here, so don't worry if there's no feedback right now. Okay, now we're going to gently, so the battery were dropped, just very gently lift everything up. To come back down. So aim for the holes directly. The circuit board will, in general, just plop back in. Oh, and one of the triggers again. So just make sure that the triggers don't pop out when you are putting circuit board back in. Make sure that those two pin connectors, make sure that the pins are aligned into the sockets by just gently pressing down on them, making sure that they're aligned. So once they're fully aligned, just push down on them fully. Until the pin goes in and the top circuit board hits the plastic poles to hold it. And then we will screw the two screws back in. So when we're screwing the screws in, just remember not to accidentally pinch any wires. Okay, so the screws are back in, and we're gonna put the motors back in. You can see that you're in the motors in the right place because there's something that's pressing down on the foam that causes these squares to show up. So just put it in with the square area facing back up. and you put that in. And then these the extra button circuit boards, they also go into a slot, so just push it down. Okay, once it's all in, make sure the wires don't lowered in and won't get pinched. Now we're gonna try and put the cover back on. So first we just guide the top shell back in here. And like I said, you have these two holes at this front part where the USB cover is. This need to go and meet up with these two pegs at the bottom. So it's a little, you just need to finesse it a bit. Just feel it. Maybe I can just put the cover in later. So we drop the front pot in. Okay, so now the front piece is in. You can see how the USB-C port is in already, is in the right place. Battery is secured. Take the back plate. So the back plate just goes down onto it. Make sure your wireless wired mode switch is still on top of the switch, because it might have fell out when you were taking it apart. And let's just take a look again inside. Make sure no wires are being pinched when we close the cover down. Okay, so there's a giant hole here where there's a pole will go in, so just make sure the wires are not in the way. And make sure that these wires are below the trigger actuators. We don't want them to get pinched when they're moving. And okay, looks good. So then we cover it down. Push it in from the top down, because the plastic claps at the bottom. And once everything is ready, just push it down at the bottom to seal it up. Take the mode switch back in. And now we will screw the 6 screws back in. I wonder if there's anything wrong with this hole, because that screw sounds weird when I put it back in. I guess some people would say, don't use an electric screwdriver and stuff like this, you're going to strip the screws. Well, that's why I'm not fully going in. When I feel them tight, I just switch over to manual. Okay, all the screws are in. Let's seal up the weight chambers. And then put back in the plugs. I am really not sure if there is a exact, if the left and rights are the same. I mean, they're just rubber plugs. You just need to get the orientation. If you feel that the orientation isn't right, I guess you can just lift it up and just try again with another side. Okay, so there we go. And so that was how to open up your Nacon Revolution Unlimited Pro. Remember, that's just a helpful video. Please don't come and complain if you broke the controller by following the instructions on my video. Okay, this is Marauders. I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.